The movies that time forgot. Okay, welcome back to another edition, another episode of The Movies That Time Forgot, a review show where I talk about the films that people don't remember or just don't know about. And today I'm going to be looking at an old film from 1986 called FX. A movie I kind of grew up with, actually, so let's take a look. FX. From 1986, starring Bryan and Brian Dennehy. Two of the greatest Bryans in cinema. Bryan Brown, famous Australian actor. He was big back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s. Most notably, he was in Cocktail with Tom Cruise and Gorillas in the Mist with Sigourney Weaver. Brian Dennehy, the late great Brian Dennehy, who fans will know as Tommy's father from Tommy Boy. This was back in his heyday. He was a really big actor back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I saw it when I was a kid, and I didn't remember too much of it. I think I only saw like bits and pieces of it. Then I hadn't seen it for years, and then I picked up a copy of it on Blu-ray, and I rewatched it again to see if it still holds up. Does it hold up? Let's find out. So the movie is about a special effects artist named Roland Tyler. They call him Rollie for short. Played by Bryan Brown. He's like a special effects wizard. He's at the top of his game. He does the basic special effects for movies, blood squibs and, explosions and pyrotechnics and all kinds of, makeup effects and all kinds of stuff, the works. He is recruited by a man from the Justice Department. And the Justice Department, they want to set up and stage a fake assassination. So the Justice Department has made a deal with a mobster by the name of DeFranco. He's been working with the mob for years, and he has a lot of dirt on them, and he wants to get out of the mob and rat them out, basically. But obviously, if he does that, the mob's gonna find him and kill him. So he struck a deal with the Justice Department by saying, look, I'll give you all these names, I'll give you all this dirt on the mob if you can grant me immunity and protection, if you can place me in the witness relocation program. Now, I'm not too good with my history. I don't know when the witness relocation program or the witness protection program, as it's more known today, I'm not sure when that came to pass originally, but in this movie in 1986, Bryan Brown's character, Rollie, he's never heard of it, so I'm wondering if maybe that's around the time it was first introduced or that's when it was new. But obviously, one of the ways that they can put him in the witness protection program is if they fake his death. So they come to Rollie and they want him to help fake DeFranco's an assassination in public. They want to put blood squibs on his chest and his head and make it look like he's been shot. Rollie says, look, I can't just do it spur of the moment. There's a lot of preparation that needs to take place. And the Justice Department says, okay, well, how about if we offer you $30,000 tax-free cash? Okay, I'll do it. They set him up. He takes a life cast, a mold of his bust, his head and shoulders, and they prepare these blood squibs. For those of you who don't know, blood squibs, in the movies when someone gets shot and you see, like an impact, blood spray out of them that's not digital, that's a squib. There's like these little packets of blood, like these little flowers, and on remote control, on a timer, you push the button and they explode. They add in that they want Rollie to be the one who actually pulls the trigger. This is the soonest I could remember this story. I keep forgetting spoilers. There's going to be spoilers for this movie FX. So the night when it all takes place, DeFranco, he's eating dinner in this middle of this public restaurant. Rollie's in disguise. He comes in with a gun. He shoots DeFranco. It looks like it works. You know what I mean? Like the blood squibs go off. Rollie gets the hell out of there. And immediately as he gets into the car with the agents, the Justice Department, they try to kill him. He gets into a scuffle, he jumps out of the car, and now suddenly he's on the run. The Justice Department and the police and everyone is trying to kill him. And then he starts thinking, yeah, that effect that I did on DeFranco worked a little too good. What if I actually killed him? Because the agent he saw earlier was fiddling with one of the prop guns. So Rollie's starting to suspect that maybe live rounds were put into the pistol that Rollie used. He goes to his girlfriend, he hides out there and he thinks he's safe there, and then boom, the next morning she opens the blinds and she gets shot by a sniper. So now, shit has really hit the fan. At the same time, Bryan Dennehy's character, he's a cop named Leo. Just a miserable cop, but he's assigned to this case to investigate the murder and the death of Rollie's girlfriend and DeFranco and all this stuff. He discovers all these, all this evidence and all these clues that something's going on here. Something's not right. So now Rollie is on the run. He's a fugitive, and he actually has an assistant, a special effects assistant with him, this girl named Andy. She believes him, she trusts him, and she actually helps him. She has a whole bunch of makeup kits and, effects kits, and they have this truck that's, part of their business, and it's got this big graffiti on it, their logo, FX. They use that to their advantage. Now, the really cool thing about this movie, because Rollie is an effects artist, he uses his tools of the trade to outsmart the cops, the hitmen, the criminals, the Justice Department. He's a wizard. He's an illusionist. He gets into disguises. There's a scene where he disguises himself as a homeless man. He creates all these illusions to distract people. He uses pyrotechnics and explosions. There's a really cool scene where Rollie and his assistant Andy are in his truck, their FX truck, and they're being chased by the cops and by the criminals, and Andy's in the back and she's strapped in and she's throwing all these pyrotechnics and these smokes and this oil and all these different like special effects goodies and stuff like that to try to stop the police and whatnot. They're not killing anybody, they're just trying to evade them. And like the whole movie, there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of backstabbing and double crossing, and we find out that DeFranco is actually alive and well, and plot twist, he's working with the Justice Department. The leader of the Justice Department, Mason, he is the no-good-nick, he is the bad guy. The real reason DeFranco has a contract out on his life is because he stole $15 million from the mob. He's made a deal with Mason and the Justice Department and say, hey, look, I'll split this money with you if you can, protect me, put me in the witness protection program. Which leads me to the third act, and the third act is really cool because the third act, DeFranco, Mason, and all these other agents, they're holed up in this big mansion, and Rollie, again using his tricks, infiltrates the mansion at night. He takes out every one of these guards and these agents one by one. So, long story short, Rollie stops the bad guys. Leo finds out the truth. Rollie fakes his death. Him and Leo become buddies, best friends, and they both find out about the $15 million in Geneva, and they go there, they get it, and they split it, and they drive off, and it's a happy ending. So a little trivia for you, Roscoe Orman is in the movie, and everyone will know, or kids will know, Roscoe Orman as Gordon from Sesame Street. It's kind of funny seeing him in like a serious grown-up movie he plays the police chief. So, the legacy of FX. This movie, it did really well at the box office in 1986 because it spawned a sequel, FX 2, The Deadly Art of Illusion. That's the title. I'm not making that up. I love that title. It's so cheesy and over the top. It's great. The Deadly Art of Illusion. It sucks, by the way. The sequel sucks. That one I actually saw more than the first one. It's basically the same thing all over again. This also spawned a TV show in the 90s. From, I think, 96 to 98. It lasted 2 seasons. And I actually remember watching it. I actually remember it being on TV. And it's the same characters and it's the same scenario. And I remember it being pretty good. I mean, I think this concept, I think it works, it may even work better as a TV show. You know what I mean? You could do every episode, this guy has to do something to trick people with his illusions and his special effects. Only thing is, and this is where I get into the negative parts of the movie, is that it's dated because obviously special effects have changed a great deal. There aren't unfortunately, a lot of practical effects these days. People don't usually use a lot of explosions and blood squibs and pyrotechnics and makeup. Everything is digital. Everything is done in CGI. A movie about a guy on his computer animating effects well, you can't do anything with that. There's nothing exciting about that. The movie is, even though there's some cool sequences, there's a cool car chase, and then, like I said, the third act in the mansion is really cool. The rest of the movie is kind of boring. It's kind of anticlimactic and lackluster. The movie is also really cheesy. Got a lot of 80s cheese to it, and I don't mind 80s cheese, but sometimes it either holds up well or you can deal with it, and then sometimes they're like this where you're just like, yeah, that's just too cheesy for me. So real quick, here's the copy I have on Blu-ray. It's another Kino Lorber release, and I've talked about Kino Lorber in a couple episodes already. Kino Lorber is a distributor that releases, restores old films on Blu-ray and DVD. And if you're a fan of FX, I definitely recommend Kino Lorber. In conclusion, so, should the movie be remembered or forgotten? Now, here's the thing. Is this a movie that really needs to be remembered? Is this a movie that people really need to see, that people are missing out on? No. I like FX, it's nostalgic for me. I grew up with it. It's not a movie that oh my god, you have to see it. And obviously I have to choose something. I have to choose remembered or forgotten. So I'm gonna go with forgotten. This may not make sense to some people. This is gonna sound a little contradictory. Yes, okay, so I've chosen forgotten, but is the movie bad? No, it's not bad. It's it's okay, it's entertaining. So to that end, what am I gonna give it out of 5 stars? I'll just give it a 3. I don't want to give it a 2 because it's not bad. So, that is FX from 1986. And therefore, that concludes this episode, this edition of the Movies That Time Forgot. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you leave a comment. Give me a recommendation, a movie that you would like for me to review, talk about, and recommend to others, a movie that you feel people don't remember or don't know about. And definitely subscribe to 3 Wiseman Films, and stay tuned because I've got some more coming. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.